Hey family, the following audio recording is from a meeting at the Dry Dock in San Francisco from 2018. Please like and subscribe.
Change things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And now, how it works?
I'm Aaron, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Aaron.
Rarely have we seen a person fail to thoroughly follow our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program, usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault, they seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. Yet some of these we thought we would find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power, that one is God. May we find him now. Half measures avail us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which I suggested as a program of recovery.
Someone has the 12 steps.
Sorry, I thought I had the 12 traditions. My name is Ryan. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Ryan.
12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Many of us exclaimed, "What an order, I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. Principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent decades. That we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism, that God could and would if he were stopped.
Thank you very much. It is a custom of this group in San Francisco Bay Area to ask any new members to introduce themselves by their first name only. New member is anyone with 30 who with a desire to stop drinking, who is within their first 30 days of sobriety. Are there any new members here tonight?
My name's Ryan. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Ryan. Welcome. All right. And are there any visitors from outside of the San Francisco area who would like to introduce themselves by their first name only? All right. Has anybody celebrated an AA anniversary recently?
Corey alcoholic. Past Friday's 5 months.
All right.
Happy birthday.
Well done, brother.
And at this time, please turn off any electronic device that will distract others during the meeting. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. We're glad you are all here, especially the newcomers. In keeping with our singleness of purpose and our third tradition, which states the only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking, we ask that all who participate confine their discussion to their problems with alcohol. In order to give as many people a chance to share, please keep your shares under 5 minutes. If it is a speaker, this is a speaker meeting, so I've asked Justin to come speak for us tonight. I heard him talking a couple weeks ago, and it sounded like he understands the program and what it's all about. So take it away, Justin.
Okay, thank you. My name is Justin, and I am an alcoholic. Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. Thank you for asking me to share. I feel like I've seen every single person here at least once, so I'm not super nervous. Should I stand up?
If you like to, you
Yeah.
may.
All right. Yeah, so where to begin, right? So I guess I'll start at the beginning. 20 minutes?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so I remember starting my childhood, that's where it all began, I suppose, for me. I have fond memories of me and my family. Pretty regular childhood. There's this one memory I have when I was, about 5 years old. My older brother was there, my sister was just born, both my parents were there, and we were doing Easter egg hunting in an apple orchard of one of our family friends. And I remember it was a bright sunny day and it was warm outside, and after we did the Easter egg hunt, we all sat at a picnic table and ate together. And I remember that day, and I remember that my whole life. And back then, there didn't really seem to be this inner monologue or dialogue of dictating what Justin was doing at the time. It was just, things just were the way that they were, and there was no analyzing of the circumstances. That came later. So I remember fun stuff like that. I remember being a young man, a young boy, like to dress up and pretend and play with the neighborhood boys and girls, and we would pretend that we were in space or pretend that we were some other place, and we'd have fun and things were light. I wasn't contemplating about, well, is my friend Zach playing better than I am, or will I be playing tomorrow? None of that was really going on. It was just playing, and I was enjoying it for what it was. I remember around the age of 7, my parents got divorced, and then my dad started living at a different location than my mom, and that's sort of where I felt things start to change. My brother was starting to get into some trouble legally and stuff, my older stepbrother who was living with us at the time, and he was sent away to live with his grandparents down in Santa Barbara. And then my sister and I would live with my dad on 3 days a week and my mom 4 days a week. And at my dad's house, it was no chores. You could eat whatever you wanted. If you wanted to have Chef Boyardee every day, you could. There was not very much discipline going on there. And we enjoyed each other's company. We had a lot of fun, It was very relaxed. At my mom's house, things were really serious. You had to do chores, ton of chores all day before you go see your friends. You had to do your homework. Your homework always had to be done. We always had to cook dinner, and there was a lot of responsibility and a lot of accountability. So I remember it was always a relief going to my dad's house. About seventh grade, I remember me and a couple of friends had went to the drug class or something, drug education that they brought at school, and we learned a little bit about that stuff, and we'd heard other kids talking and experimenting with using marijuana and drinking and stuff. But and we went and this is Alcoholics Anonymous, but I definitely have drugs in my story. I remember we went and smoked some pot and got lost in the woods, and remember being kind of a scary time, and it wasn't like I wanted to rush off and do it again. It was actually somewhat traumatic because we got lost in the woods for like what seemed like days and days. But nevertheless, it wasn't like a, I didn't have that compulsion right away to go and smoke pot again. With alcohol, for me, things were a little bit different. There was this one time, and I'll keep this short, that me and my friend Zach, I remember it was the Super Bowl, and we made like some nachos or something, and we thought it would be a good idea to try some alcohol. So we went down to the local store, this is up in Sonoma County, and I convinced him to steal a bottle of alcohol. And we didn't know any of the alcohols from any of the others. We were pretty young. And I was too chicken shit to do it. But he did it. He put it in his coat and blah, blah, blah. So we got it back to the house, and it was this Bombay Sapphire. Something awful. And we'd heard that Snoop Dogg song about gin and juice. So we found some juice. And we mixed it together. And we got a buzz, And we watched the Super Bowl, and as soon as I felt that go down, I felt that warmth in my stomach. I was like, wow, I like this. I'm going to do this shit again, And we drank it all, and it felt good, and then it started wearing off a little bit later, and my friend Zach wanted to go home and sleep. And I was like, oh, no, we shouldn't go sleep. We should go back to Spears Market, and you should steal another bottle for us. And he didn't like that idea, and so he went home, and I was too chicken shit to go and steal another bottle, so that was that. But I remember having very good feelings about it at the time. Fast forwarding a little bit, when I got to freshman year of high school, there was, I didn't feel really comfortable in my own skin. I hear a lot of people say that. For me, the self-centeredness was really strong. I remember this one time I was feeling uncomfortable in class, and I raised my hand and asked the teacher if I could go to the bathroom. And she said, yeah, okay, go ahead. And I walked out of the door. And as soon as the door closed, there was like this poster on the window so you couldn't like see through the other side. And I turned around and I put my ear to the glass because I thought everyone was talking about me in the classroom. That was like where I was. I thought everything was about me at a very young age. So going forward a little bit, there was this party. I was freshman year. Like I said, I was already really uncomfortable in my own skin, and I didn't know what to do about that. I felt like everyone had sort of gotten the pamphlet or the manual for like everyday's activities, but I hadn't. The manual, I was like missing the manual for life. Some people seemed to be like perfectly okay being who they were, and I was afraid. I had a feeling that something was terribly wrong with me, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was, and I was afraid if I was too close to other people, especially strangers, that they would see who I was, or they would see that something was wrong with me, and they would call me out on it publicly, and it would be the worst thing that could have ever happened. So this is how I was going through life. My opinion of the way that I was like not okay. It was like less than. And so I went to this party, and I remember being there, and someone offered me a beer or whatever, and I didn't really think much of it, and I drank this beer, and then at this party, all of a sudden, like the girls who were like the popular girls or whatever, who wouldn't talk to me, we were like equals at the party. And like all the cool kids or like the jocks or whatever who I didn't really care about, but they were the popular ones and got all the attention, like they were talking to me too. And it was like I had arrived. Like I felt like I was a part of what I'd never been a part of. At school, things were entirely different, but I was drinking here and I was accepted here. And that had a profound effect on me. So fast forwarding a little bit more, a few years into high school, the first year of high school, my freshman year, I was 15 and a half, my brother passed away, my older brother, the one who'd lived with us before. And it turned out, it was unclear whether he was murdered or whether it was an accidental overdose. He had 7 different substances in his system, and he had been given some intravenous drugs and he was waiting to go to rehab. He was on like this list, and like come Monday morning, they were going to let him in. But this is before like Obamacare and everything, so unfortunately he never made it in there, and he passed away. And I got that news. I remember the sheriff coming up the stairs in my dad's house. And I was like, that's weird. Why are the cops at our house? And he talked to my dad at the front door. And then he walked away, and my dad started sobbing. And I looked at him, and I just knew. I knew that it was my brother who passed away. He didn't have to say anything. It was very, very, very sad thing, you know. I didn't know how to deal with it, and I didn't have the tools to cope. So what I can look back at now is sort of like a Great Depression. I didn't know it at the time, but it totally changed me as a human being. I started wearing a hood at school. I started only hanging out with like a couple friends, and I started smoking pot and drinking a lot. I was introduced to, had my wisdom teeth pulled, and the doctor gave me some prescription medications, narcotics for that. And those I found to be better than alcohol because you could take them at pretty much any time and no one really knew. It didn't smell. It seemed to have a lot of advantages at the time. And when I took those medication, I came to the realization that like I had this little bit of ease and comfort, and it was like for me at the time it was like a spiritual experience. It was like, wow, like I'm okay, like I feel like I can be myself. I felt comfortable in my own skin. And that's sort of how the rest of my drinking using career went, really. I got suspended from high school at one point because I was selling cigarettes out of the lockers and doing other stupid shit, smoking weed and cutting class and stuff like this. Maybe other people can relate to that. And so the consequences started coming in. And I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, I was like, all right, well, I just don't get caught anymore and we'll be all good. I didn't connect that to the selling of illicit things, or of the smoking marijuana or the pills or the alcohol. I didn't connect the two. I was just like, oh, I just have to manage the situation better. I was slipping and I caught me slipping. That was where I was at the time. So fast forward, a little bit. Now, let's see. So the freshman year of college, at this point, I've been sort of hanging around some of these lower companions and stuff, and really gotten a taste for these prescription medications. They were pretty readily available, and they made me feel really good, so why not take them? And before you knew it, I had a full-fledged dope habit, even though I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know that this stuff was addictive. I didn't know what it meant to have withdrawal. But nevertheless, I was taking copious amounts of this stuff and living my life like that. And I thought, everything was good for a little while. I got arrested this one time. There was this other time where we were smoking weed over at my friend's house, and long story short, we didn't want, the cops came knocking on the door, and we were stoned, so we ran out of the back of this place, and then they called all these cops and the helicopters and the search dogs, and they came looking for us. And I was running from the helicopters for 12 hours in the nighttime, and I had taken off my shirt because it was dark at this point, and I was wearing a white shirt, so I took that off, and I was in my socks. We were smoking hookah, and I had taken my shoes off, so I was barefoot with no shirt on, and I'm army crawling through this field. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And the cops never came into one person-to-person contact with me. I just heard the sirens, and I heard all this shit, and I knew they were knocking at the door, and there was helicopters, and I thought I was evading this helicopter and this forward-looking infrared, but I guess I wasn't that good. And I jumped this fence, and there was fucking dogs, and I was running from the dogs barefoot on the gravel, and my feet were bleeding. And I was like, fuck this, dude. I do not want to keep running. So I called up a friend, and he's like, yeah, I'll come pick you up. And I was right. This is in Sonoma County in Sebastopol, and right as my friend was coming up, I got out of this ditch. I was all cut up and shit. And he's like, what the fuck happened to you? I got out of this ditch. I was about to jump in the back of his pickup, and the sheriffs come speeding down at 90 miles an hour down this little road, and they pull their guns out at me, and they said, get on the fucking ground or we're gonna shoot you. My friend looks back at me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, yeah, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna get in that car. he didn't think that was such a good idea, so he took off, and I ended up getting arrested for that one, and had to go to like 10 AA meetings or something because there really no crime had occurred. I just ran from the cops for no reason. So I didn't attribute this to like the using. I was high and doing drugs earlier in that day, and that was like the decision making as to why I ran. But like I didn't connect the two as to like that the drugs were causing me problems. I just thought the cops were assholes, and like they should have just left me alone because I wasn't doing anything wrong. Fast forwarding a little bit further, when just before I came into AA, I was taking all these prescription opiates. I was drinking regularly. I couldn't hold down a job. I'd been fired from about 4 different places. The word was getting around that like people shouldn't hang out with me at my hometown because I would take it way past the point that anyone else needed to. I'd take all these substances and I would drink all this booze, and then I'd start acting out and do strange things and like steal things, like take government property, and just carry it around downtown while inebriated and do stupid shit like that. Blacked out, and I would hurt people, a lot of stuff that I'm not proud of, but through the step work I've been able to make amends for. There was this laundromat up in Sebastopol, and I used to go and do my laundry there. My mom had kicked me out at this point, so I couldn't use her facilities anymore. And I was couch surfing, and I was sort of had a backpack, and I thought that was pretty cool that I was like free. I couldn't hold down a job, and I was dope sick half the time, but I was free. So I thought the quite delusional at the time. And we took these things called blue bombers, some kind of benzodiazepine, who knows what the fuck they were, but and we were drinking, and then I went to do my laundry, and I was all messed up, and I was doing something with the machine, and I used my pocket knife to open up the lint trap to try and get the machine to work better, and there was coins in there, and I used those coins to do my laundry for free, the $19.25 of quarters. And it was on camera, of course, but I didn't give a shit at the time. I was blacked out on like a 4-day bender, and the Sebastopol police came and talked to me a few days later, and then arrested me on felony burglary. And then came to my mom's house and tried to search her house without a warrant, and she didn't go for that. Got locked up on that. Went to the county jail up in Sonoma County, and then came to about 3 days later. And a severe panic attack, very sick, and not a well man. There was I figured out this way to break the cell door, because I thought if I could get out of the cell door that I could leave the facility. That's where I was. I got the caulking from around the window, and I heated it up and I packed it in the door, and of course they knew right away. I broke their $50,000 door, and they were fucking pissed about that. Put me in administrative segregation, so now every time I leave my cell, I have to have chains on my ankles and around my waist, and 2 guards. I was an escape threat, so that happened. I went to felony court like that for $19.25 in quarters. And that's when the miracles started happening. I got honest with the sheriff's department there. I was like, look, I'm coming down from all these these different drugs. I need to be in a hospital. I need something to help me through this. And they put me in the infirmary unit. And I was looking at 31 days of solitary confinement. And then this guy who happened to be sober that I'd known. He's sober from AA. A lawyer, he agreed to represent me for free, and I bailed myself out with my EDD card. I didn't even know you could do that. I remember, or just before court, I was on my knees and I was trying to pray. I didn't know any prayers. I'd be sort of turned off to the whole God concept, but I was trying to pray, and I was jumbling. I was searching my mind for things that I could say that would put me into contact with something that would get me out of the situation. And I was saying this stuff, and I was like, I will never use again. if you get me out of this pickle. And sure enough, like I ended up getting some type of a plea bargain situation, and a couple of days later I went and used again, even though I didn't want to at the time. That was when I started to realize that I lost control. My dad had some insurance though at the time, so after a little bit more using, and my parents had a very strict conversation with me about how they were going to excommunicate me entirely. I sought out Kaiser CDRP down here in San Francisco and started going there. I didn't have a car and I didn't have a place to stay, so my mom let me stay in her shed, like this 12 by 12 garden shed out in the backyard. No toilet, no electricity, nothing. And I was sleeping in there, and I would take 4 buses from Sebastopol out here to the Fillmore, and I would do the outpatient treatment, and I'd take 4 buses back, and I did that while I was detoxing from 6 different substances simultaneously. And I just kept showing up. I had a realization that like it wasn't working, and that this lawyer guy had sort of whispered in my ear that maybe there was another way, and if I did this rehab thing, they would look good. So I started doing it, and they let me into this inpatient facility, which is called the Sequoia Center, down in Redwood City. I think it's closed these days, but I did 62 days there, and then things started to change. I got a little time on my belt. The court stuff got dismissed, and I did some community service, and that went away, and they suggested that I move to SLE, so I went from there to an SLE, and it was a trip. I got introduced to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and this time I was sort of ready a little bit to listen. I had that little bit of willingness we talked about in the program. It's a trip to go from a place where every day when I came to, I was not okay, and I had to change the way that I was feeling. And that was like this fucking radioactive isotope inside of me that was gnawing at me all day, every day. You're not okay, you need to be okay. You're not okay, you need to be okay. And I would drink and I would use, and it would shut up for a little while, but then it came back, and I couldn't shake it. And I didn't know that I was an alcoholic. I didn't know I was a sick person. I just thought something was really, really wrong with me. I didn't know that like staying sober or like AA was a way of life. I just thought that like AA was people who couldn't hang, couldn't keep their drink down. I thought sober was smoking a joint and having a beer. Little did I know. And so I moved to the SLE, and I lived there for 2 years, and I started working the steps with this guy named Danny from the San Francisco Fellowship over here. And I would come to this room for 5 meetings a day, this pink room. I would sit right back there, and I would listen, and I had this diametric opposition, this total turnoff from anyone who used the word God, because my interpretation of what or who a God was the one who taken my brother away. And I said, if there was what my thinking at the time was that if there was a God, why would he put me through so much pain? Why would he do such a thing? Well, slowly but surely, through listening to the shares that all of you guys, all that I heard in AA, I heard about your own conception of God, and I heard about, nature, and I heard about how some people's higher power is the ocean, some people's higher power is a group of drunks, and slowly my mind opened up a little bit, and that show of terminal uniqueness like got a little fissure, a little crack in it, and a little bit of the AA light got in there, and I was like, fuck, like I heard some shares from some people who like had the exact same feelings I'd had, the exact same experiences I'd had. They felt the same way I felt. They thought the same thoughts that I'd had when I was out there. And I was like, how the hell do these people get my thoughts? And that you guys told me to look for the similarities and not the differences. And, slowly but surely by getting into the steps, like I realized that, like I am the same as these people, and I do have this thing, and it seems to work for them, so maybe it can work for me. And that was a big jump for a guy like me who thought I would be able to like do some heroin on the weekends like a gentleman, you know, to come in and find that like full abstinence was an option for me, and that there was a better way. And you know, you guys told me to keep coming back one day at a time and to keep it simple. And you know, it's been a long journey for me. It's definitely been a slow recovery, but things are really good. You know, I wouldn't trade any experience I'd have in, even though there's some things that I don't really like that happen. I believe that everything's led me to where I am today, and where I am today is a really good place. I'm fully employable. They put me in charge of like a large company. I have a car. I have, you know, I'm in a relationship with a beautiful young woman. I can pay rent. And I'm sober, you know? And the real goal of it is that I have the opportunity to turn all of that mess of my life into gold by sharing that with another alcoholic. You know, all the suffering that I've had, all that gets recycled, and I can bring it to be of service to another person. And that's the true feeling of joy, to see another person recover. I didn't even think that wasn't even in my realm of like what I wanted when I got sober. When I got sober, I was like, all right, I want a car, I want a pretty girlfriend, I want a big house, and I want a bunch of fucking money. And I thought I would be content with that, but I've been given so much more. Relationship with my mom has been mended, and now we have like casual conversations where there's no emotional manipulation, and we're like equals. I've had the opportunity to make financial amends to past employers who I've stolen money from, and now I don't worry about money anymore. I could go on and on with the ways that the miracles that you guys and how AA was done in my life. But I just want to say one thing before closing, that those steps on the wall, you know, in the beginning, I didn't work them to the best of my ability, you know. I sort of half-assed it, and I sort of thought that I had some plans that were going to work out. And in the long run, it's not been until like the last couple of years of my sobriety that I've actually like really, really gotten into the step work and embraced it and tried to practice the principles in all my affairs. And until I've started doing that, like, really, I didn't see a lot of fruit growing on my tree, if you will, for lack of a better term. Honestly, I think that like the spiritual principles that are attached to those steps, they're manifesting in my life today. And it doesn't really feel, at this point in my recovery, it doesn't really feel like I did anything to get them. It's sort of just like AA works, and I let it work in my life, and now things are good. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here, and thank you for letting me share.
Alright. Thanks, Justin, for coming out tonight. We're going to pass the basket to raise money for the rest of this room. While that's going around, we are entirely self-supporting.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more videos, especially if you're interested in cooking. Cheers.